This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. We're going to talk about a lot today. I'm pretty excited for today's show. I was kind of piecing it together over the last couple weeks, waiting for the final pieces of the puzzle to fall into place. And they did quite nicely last week up at La Crosse, the Mississippi River, to close out the 2025 Bassmaster Elite Series season in really exciting fashion. Pat Schlapper. Like, listen, I'll say it when he's on the show today. I did not have Pat Schlapper winning 2 Elite Series tournaments on my bingo card in 2025. And it was awesome to see what he did on what I would say is home body of water, where he was really motivated. He really had a game plan. He went out, he executed it. He went out and got it. Like it wasn't like in his lap. Like he went out and he took that title from Caleb Coopwall, who has won before, who knows how to win, a couple of grinders who like to wear, the cargo shorts and go out and just get grimy and flip and frog and like both of those guys, I think, should be like sponsored by Coleman because they're not afraid to camp. So we're going to have Pat Schlapper on, and then Tucker Smith, the prodigy. Since the time he was 13, people were telling him, hey, you're going to be the guy. And then he goes out and he wins the Rookie of the Year by almost 100 points. So he's got, I was just talking to him before because we're going to talk some Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, some really cool stuff here in the first segment. And then we've got Pat on, and then we've got Tucker. And I said, make sure you have that Rookie of the Year trophy next to you, because for 10 years, it was like the size of this cup. Like I remember when I was telling him, like when Porosnik won it, he looked like he was holding like a mug in his hand with the Rookie of the Year. So they finally made it blue. They finally made it cool. It's awesome also when they hold those trophies up. Like there's a picture of Pat and you can see he's like holding the trophy like this. And on the bottom, it says MTM recognition. I've done a show about this. We did it 5 or 6 years ago, but all those trophies come out of Oklahoma City. MTM recognition was started by Big Dave Smith, who fished on the Elite Series for 6-7 years, long time FLW angler too, in all sorts of like basketball sports Hall of Fames. And then he started this empire of trophies. So, he was on the Elite Series giving away his trophies. He had a chance to win one of his own trophies, but it's neat to still see that MTM recognition on the bottom of all those trophies. Dave passed away a year or two ago, but he got out and fished right up until the end. So speaking of legends in the sport, we're going to honor 3 here I'm on the website. It's 28 days, 16 hours, and 22 minutes as of August 27th at 8:37 a.m. When we're doing this live. And it is the 25th anniversary of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Randy Hopper, Craig Lamb, William Shakespeare, all going into the Hall of Fame. And this is kind of the culmination of the year for the board of directors, for those at the Hall of Fame. If you've been to the Wonders of Wildlife, Taj Mahal that Johnny Morris has there in Springfield, Missouri, the best aquarium in the world, I think, like 3 years running. Really cool Bass Fishing Hall of Fame banquet induction ceremony takes place, and that's where all the money is raised through the auction, through donations to fund the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, where you can go look and see and put your hands on and touch, and the history of the sport is preserved. One of the guys who knows the history of the sport, I would venture to say probably better than anyone, is someone who's been in this game for I think like 30 years now. That would be one Bruce Stanton. He is he's been with PRADCO since 1996, vice president, general manager of the fishing division since the early 2000s, and then also board of directors for the Hall of Fame. And you're like president-elect too, right?
Yeah, it'll start this year, president-elect.
So, Bruce, I started this in 2008, carrying all of Mark Jeffrey's heavy crap to the tournaments when he was, well, it's the honest to God truth. Like, I had to carry the camera cases and sort through the thousands of photos and stay up with them till 2 a.m. on that. And I feel like I'm kind of a veteran in this, but it's awesome to see guys who have been in it decades longer, who still seem to have a passion for the sport, who are not only fishermen, but have made their mark in their career in it. And every time I see you at the Hall of Fame, when I chat with you, you seem like one of those guys that you still love what you do, and you still love to get on the water. And it's not just a job. It's still a passion for you all these years later.
It is. My dad's no longer with us. He died last year, but he's the reason I fish. When I could barely walk, he'd get me up in the morning and we'd go fish the French Broad River or Douglas Lake or Watts Bar or Fort Loudon. Heck, I can remember before there was a Teleco, Matt, remember in 76 when they dammed it up and they took our trout fishing space, and we're like, what the heck? And then it turned into one of the greatest lakes in Tennessee. Obviously, we've had classics there, but I've always had that passion for fishing. Grew up bait fishing in the Smokies, and been at PRADCO since 1996. So really worked with historic brands like Heddon, the world's oldest lure company, Booyah. We're in over 60 countries, and we got a great team, great ownership. And it's just, man, it's exciting. You get to work with fishing lures and go fishing and build a great team. And then with volunteer work, get to work with the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame Board of Directors, which you're on. And it's awesome getting up every day.
Yeah, I remember one of the first tournaments I ever covered was an FLW tour event at Fort Loudon, Teleco. Okay, well, I remember I went and covered that event, and they were talking about how hard those it was back then, how hard they're smallmouth, I believe, how hard they were to target there because they were pelagic and not in the water, and they were hard. I mean, it's such a different world that we live in today. Now you could just go catch them out there in the middle. But yeah, it's there's not very many like new lakes. There's one in Texas that just opened a couple years ago, and they're really catching them out of there. But as a whole, not many new kind of big tournament or big bass fishing bodies of water get built these days.
We talk about that a lot in the business, how in the 50s, 60s, 70s, we seem to be building a lot of impoundments. Teleco, it's not a power generation lake. It was built 100% for recreation by TVA, and obviously it had its issues with the snail darter and some of the Cherokee burial land. So a lot of issues had to be dealt with government wise. But when you look at the real estate that's on Teleco and just how vibrant a fishery it is, and you got the canal running it between Loudon and Teleco, so you can really fish from where the French Broad and Holston meet, east of Knoxville, all the way around to Chilhowie Dam. It's incredible. I mean, it was cool to be a part of that, fish it when they built it. And yeah, we didn't like losing our brown trout fishery, but boy, it's really become a top bass fishery, no doubt.
All right, let's talk Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. What was the first Bass Fishing Hall of Fame banquet that you attended? Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was probably the first year. I took my dad to it in Shreveport. They held a classic down there, and they held a Bass Fishing Hall of Fame event. I think I've been to all but one of them in Springfield, but being able to take my dad and see a lot of the old time fishermen and some inductions, that was pretty cool. But Springfield, it's really turned into the biggest night in bass fishing, is what we call it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we get icons like Johnny Morris and Bill Dance there every year, and then with the inductees we've had the last several years, big names like Skeet Reese and Mike Iaconelli, Mark Davis. It's just it's been cool to see a lot of the guys that I've grown up with at the same time frame since I've been at PRADCO get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, Mark was he worked for us when he won Angler of the Year in the Classic, same time back in 1995, and it's just
that was right when you started.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of special to see that and be a part of it. Of course, our job is to celebrate, promote, and preserve the sport of bass fishing. So that could mean pro fishing. It could mean icons in the industry like William Shakespeare or James Heddon, or people that have conducted tournaments, outdoor communicators.
Mm-hmm.
Just so many different people have touched our sport, and just it's cool to be a part of a group that wants to preserve that.
If you've never been to the Wonders of Wildlife and the aquarium that's there, I don't know, I couldn't think of the word aquarium, Bruce. It it's it's amazing. Like, it truly is, like, amazing. It's something that you would be like, oh yeah, no, Johnny Morris has his hands all over this. But you walk down into the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, and you take a look at the work that the guys and gals on the board have done to not only make that space feel special, but then to expand it and to make it better every single year. And it's hard to convey, like, through a show, through a message, like, how important that is to the history of our sport, and how important it is to have a space like that for, and it's like that in any other, like, you could say that bowling, badminton, golf, to anything that there is. Like, I think it's important to really have a great understanding of the history as to why we're able to do what you have done for the past 30 years, why I'm able to do what I've done for the past 20 years. But you walk around and you look at it and you're like, okay, like, this takes money. Like, this is not, like, you have to have funding for it to preserve that legacy, to make it better for generations to come, so we don't end up in just a hamster wheel of reliving the same thing and gaining an appreciation and a respect for it. Is that kind of a fair assessment when you walk into that Hall of Fame space downstairs at the Wonders of Wildlife?
It is. So first, if you're like us, and you live the sport of bass fishing, yeah, it's plaques and boats and fish mounts and jerseys, but to people like me and you and to people listening to Bass Zone, it's meaningful. When you walk down and see Jimmy and Chris Houston and Earl Bentz and Ray Scott, and even last year, someone like Alfred Williams, who trailblazed in our sport as the first black angler to make the classic. I mean, it's meaningful. So to some people, they're plaques. To us, it evokes memories, and it helps us celebrate the sport, honor the legends. And then you walk around and, you see, Ray Scott's cowboy hat. You see the jacket he wore, classic weigh-ins. And if you ever went to one of those, it just brings up some memories. It means something. So part of our goal is to preserve all that. And as you walk through there, we know not everybody bass fishes or tournament fishes, but the people that do, we want it to be a meaningful experience. So, very fortunately, Johnny Morris has that same vision. He's got that. He wants it to be a first class exhibit. So our executive director, Barbara Bowman, and our current president, John Mazurkowitz, have just put a lot of work and effort into bringing that Bass Fishing Hall of Fame to life. So when you walk through there, you could have that meaningful experience, almost kind of like a religious experience, almost like going to church. If you walk through there and you see all these different cool things, we just want it to resonate and be meaningful. So right now we're trying to be a little more interactive, trying to come up with some displays that'll be meaningful to kids, because we see a lot of kids, and kids see plaques and jerseys, static things, and they'll just walk on through. So we're trying to come up with some ideas. Maybe they build their own habitat with Lego sets, or just some things they can do where they can be a little more a part of it instead of just wanting to walk through it and get to the other end. But we've got people like Darren Cole on our board. They spend a lot of time, hours every week, trying to think about how we can make this museum better. We have monthly meetings with the Wonders of Wildlife Museum to talk about projects and things we can do to make the experience better. So it's something that is ongoing, and a lot of people obviously have a part in it.
Was last year the first year that PRADCO did the legacy lure collection for the Hall of Fame. And I believe it was really cool because you had some guys who were iconic with other brands, and their brands and them and Pradco and everyone got together and said, yeah, I'll put my name on that bait to raise money for the Hall of Fame. Like KVD was part of that and stuff last year, and it was a smashing success.
He was Ken Van Dam, and I got to give a shout out to Ken Eubanks. He's my counterpart at Rather Outdoors. And, you'd think there'd be a lot of jealousy and non-cooperation, but, I mentioned the idea to Kevin. He used to work for us back in the 90s, and he said, yeah, I'd love to put my name on a bait and help it benefit the Hall. And Ken felt the same way. And, it was just cool to see Bill Dance, Jason Christie, and then Kevin Van Dam have their names on the logo lure. So this year we thought, with the 25th anniversary, let's go get the living members of that first induction class. And, guys like Rick Clunn, who don't work for us, Roland Martin, who doesn't work for us, and
Larry Nixon,
Bobby
Bill
Murray. Yeah. So all those guys and their sponsors said, you know what? The Hall of Fame is bigger than selling 300 lures for our brand, so we'll fully support it. And it's just kind of cool to see the industry, kind of bass fishing industry, come together to do projects like this. We're actually going to make 1,500 lures. They'll debut on lurenet.com on September 1st, where I know a lot of your listeners buy the Frank Scalish signature lures. So there'll be $14.99. There'll be 1,500 of them, 5 lures, 300 each. And when they're gone, they're gone. And what that will enable us to do is 100% of the proceeds, $22,500, will go to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. So, that's a chunk of money. And it's very important for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame to be able to make that money. The lures give us a reason to talk about it. A lot of the news organizations like Wired to Fish can put it on their website and their digital and social channels. And it just helps us talk about the Hall, awareness, and then obviously just giving them cold hard cash, which is what they need. But the other thing about this is these are Hall of Fame members, the brands. This is a Norman Lures Deep Little N, which a lot of us have thrown. Larry Nixon has the enchilada sauce color. And then one of my favorites, Roland Martin.
Dude, I'm going to be on there.
That's
I'm waiting
right
on
there.
that one. That one's got to be in the BTL.
Heddon Super Spook. And Roland worked with Frank Scalish to make this peacock bass color. And if I had to bet, I'd say this might be the first one to go. And I don't know how many people have fished it. I got one to fish because I just think it's smoke. But that's what this industry is all about. The old timers give back. There's a lot of cooperation. We've got people from Rapala, Strike King, Z-Man. There's all kinds of different companies represented on the board. And, we all get along. We have one goal in mind, to, preserve bass fishing and just make the best Bass Fishing Hall of Fame we possibly can. And that takes cooperation.
Well said, Bruce. I do also want to point out there is a big philanthropy side to this, to getting high school and college men and women into bass fishing positions in conservation. Gene Gilliland works tirelessly on that, and there are a lot of opportunities for grants, for bass clubs, for bass habitat and habitation, for ramp projects, for cleanup efforts, for those who are going into fisheries biology with an emphasis on understanding and preserving bass. Because, a lot of it, and it's not really sexy to talk about, but you have to have people in your corner who understand it. And there have to be people who understand the impact of bass fishing and the sport fishing and tournament fishing, how it all works together. And to get those people who have that passion, who have that in it, the Hall of Fame does a really good job of identifying those people who are applying for those grants and giving them the push to get into that. So we have representation for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years in this industry.
No doubt. As bass fishermen, we want great fisheries. We want a lot of bass in the water. We want healthy bass in the water. And that doesn't happen with industry people or tournament people or media people. That happens on the fishery side, the biology side, and people like Gene Gilliland. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's given his life to, I guess, increasing the sport of bass fishing through making sure stockings are proper, fish care, fish management's proper, and so one of the things we do at the Hall of Fame is we give awards, we give money to groups, bass clubs, high school teams that actually want to play structure in the water. We'll fund that, and you can apply for that at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame website. And then obviously you mentioned we give scholarships annually to deserving young men and women who participate in high school fishing. Fortunately, when we were young, Matt, we just had to go fishing. We didn't really have teams, but now, these kids can fish in junior high, high school, and college and realize their dream of becoming a tournament angler or a fisheries biologist or getting the industry while they're doing something they love, gives them a reason to get up every day. So we reward that with scholarships. And again, you can apply for those at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame website. So it's another way to give back and just give meaning to the organization that, if you're in the organization, things like that really excite you.
All right, full disclosure, I gave Frank a heads up that you're going to be on, and Frank is like, oh man, we're going to talk about those lures tomorrow, and my camera guy's got the actual baits. And I said, that's okay. I said, Bruce sent the high-res photo. So to go through the paint schemes and all that, we'll save that for day 4 with Frank Scalish tomorrow. He's going to talk about working with Larry, with Roland, with Rick, with Bill, with Bobby to design each of those baits. Each of those guys had a hand in it. They worked with Frank, but we'll run through them really quick. Once again, $14.99, September 1st, available on lurenet.com. There's only 300 of each, so it's kind of running like one of those Frank Scalish signature series drops. Like kind of get on that morning and check it out, because those things are probably going to last maybe like less than an hour. We may crash the site. Like we warned you with color number 7, Bruce, a couple years ago, like, hey, are you guys ready for this? And then we crashed the site on it. So we might have an issue with this again too, but we'll run through the 5. And I think most of these guys will probably be at the Hall of Fame too. But you mentioned there's the Larry Nixon enchilada sauce, the Roland Martin Peacock Bass Heddon Super Spook, the Rick Clunn One Knocker Spook in green gizzardback shad, the Bill Dance Heddon Spit and Image. That was the first topwater outside of a pommy spinnerbait that I caught a bass on in a tournament back in 1998 in a youth tournament on Lake Shelbyville. Like, it was back when that Excalibur series was like, it was like, that was the I remember I went to Mike's Tackle World and I got one of those spitting images like that, and I got a popping image, and I was like one of the first kind of realistic bait fish with that G flash finish on it. And then Bobby Murray with the hot gill with probably the most iconic crankbait I would say in this genre, which is the Cotton Cordell Big O. Also the first square bill that I threw my dad when we went up to Canada. All he threw when we smallmouth fish was a chrome black back Big O on a spinning rod, and boy, we went through the pike. Pike loved that Big O. But those will all be available. We'll go through all 5 of those tomorrow. Frank will really dive into to what we did. But I know a lot of guys last year got that set and kind of have it in their man cave. Also, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction, which kicks off the middle of September. Frank Scalish had it at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame mixer at the Bassmaster Classic. There's a hand-painted version of each of these 5 baits, hand-painted. Frank put it in a case, mounted it himself, wrote it by hand underneath it. That will be auctioned off in the silent auction that you guys can bid on through the bid pal that's available on the bassfishinghof.com. More information on BTL when that comes out. But that for the last a couple years, any of the Frank stuff, and that has been a massive hit. So
no doubt, and you're right. Yeah, y'all crashed the website, which it kind of stunk when it happened, but you learn a lot in business. You're like, well, there are limits to what we can and can't do. So it helped us do some things better.
On that one right there, on that color number 7 right there.
That's it. And y'all told us we didn't believe you, but hey, we believe you now when you tell us something. So, but yeah, if you want any of these lures September 1st, man, you just be camping out by lurenet.com because these won't last long.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I let you go, I also want to mention, so the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame is not an invite-only event. If you are a diehard bass guy and you want to look over and see a blue jacket with Larry Nixon in it, or Rick Clunn, or anybody, it's amazing when you go to this thing. It's in Springfield, Missouri on Thursday evening, September 25th. And there are individual tickets. Last year, I know there were BTL listeners, husbands, wives that came to this. It's $150. You can buy a single ticket. It's right here on the annual Bass Fishing Hall of Fame induction banquet. If you are a student of the game, a history of the sport, I highly, highly recommend, even if you're not from that area, making a weekend out of the Wonders of Wildlife Museum, the aquarium, and cap it off with the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I mean, you can sit there and drink a Coors Light with Larry Nixon. I don't know what his beer choice is, but I mean, it's that cool. Mark Zona, Skeet, Ike. I mean, all the guys.
It is, and you buy a ticket. It is an open bar. We got first class food, but like you said, you get a beverage in your hand. How many times do you get a chance to rub shoulders with Kevin Van Dam, Johnny Morris, Gene Gilliland, Bill Dance, Matt Pangrack, Frank Scalish is going to be there. I mean, there's just
some of those are easier to rub shoulders with than others, Bruce. you could find my shoulder really easy, Johnny. Johnny's a big time supporter. Like, he's been there the last couple years. He goes up, he talks, he makes sure everything's taken care of. Like, it's amazing his support for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame and what Bass Pro Shop does to make that event special.
It is. And in the last several years, I know he probably doesn't like talking about it, but he's donated the food to us, which is, for 400 people, you're talking $20,000 price range. He takes care of that. So that enables us to spend more money on scholarships, structure, awards, updating the Hall of Fame. So it's really cool. Our board of directors is non-paid. It's 100% volunteer. It's a working board. So all of our time is donated. Our companies allow us to do this. And then all the proceeds go directly to scholarships, structure for fish, or directly to the Hall of Fame.
I don't think many people realize, and I was trying to pull his stats up. I want to make sure I get it correct, but I believe Johnny Morris, when he started in the gas station, then was selling lures out of the back, and it's cool to see him interact with the guys, because like, it's not Johnny Morris and legends, it's like the guys, and you could tell when they're looking at each other's eyes, they're remembering the crap they got into when they were 25 and 30, like the tournament trails, and they're looking around going, holy cow, look where we are now. But I believe he made 5 consecutive Bassmaster Classics in the 1970s. Like, he was an angler too. I don't think people realize that he was a diehard tournament angler on the Bassmaster Trail fishing under Ray Scott.
He was one of the original sticks, as you say. He could catch his fish, and he just decided not to pursue the tournament lifestyle that he did for the first 5 or 6 years of BASS. But, he was there when it started on Beaver, and he bumped heads with Bill Dance and Rayo Breckenridge and a lot of the old timers. Mm-hmm. And it's fun seeing him and Bill together because, like you said, they reminisce when they were in their 20s and, getting into trouble and having a little fun, but catching a lot of bass. So it's I think they're kind of like us, and that once you have that, it just brings you so much joy. You don't ever lose it, and you don't really feel like you're working in this industry because you love it so much.
Seemed to work out for him. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Both him and Bill Dance. All right, Bruce, I greatly appreciate the time on BTL. I'm going to let you get back to work. But like I said, tomorrow on day 4, Frank's going to go over all the colors. We'll have all the links. The link to all the information on it is already in the description of the show. If you have any more questions about the Hall of Fame or any of this, feel free to also, if you were thinking about attending, feel free to email me, matt@basso.com. I can walk you a little bit through about kind of how the evening is. And then lurenet.com. With that drop, there'll be like a scrolling banner right across it. As soon as it drops, boom, it'll be the limited edition Hall of Fame. You click on it, get the set, and you're good to go. So anything else, Bruce, before I see you here in about a month in Springfield?
Yeah, no, that's it, Matt. Thank you so much. Appreciate what you do, man.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. That is Bruce Stanton. We're going to take a break. I see our next guest in the queue. He is sideways in the queue, though. So before we bring him in, there we go. We're going to take a very quick break. Like, I'm just going to run like a 30-second commercial because you can't keep the champ waiting. The coolest trophy ceremony since Iaconelli went into the crowd in Philly. I also does not seem super intense. Man, when he was boats flipping those 3.5 and 4s, you could feel how much Pat Schlapper wanted the win on the Mississippi River, and he got it. So it's BTL on a Wednesday, back with 2-time Elite Series champ, 4-time BASS winner, Pat Schlapper, right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook.
World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu. World's finest hook.
Hi, welcome back, BTL on a Wednesday. We got audio, we got video with Pat.
Hear me now?
I gotcha. Can you hear me?
Yep.
It's always sketchy when you don't get to practice it, but like I said, you were on earlier when you won the first one, so I figured you know how this stuff works now. So congratulations on the second big win to close out the season, Pat.
Appreciate it. It was it's a stressful season thinking about this last tournament, and I'm really glad it worked out the way I kind of envisioned it.
I'm going to pull up a picture, and I want you to look at this picture in your home state of Wisconsin in a tournament that you kind of openly stated you'd put a lot of work in after a tough start to the season and then an incredible rebound at the Sabine. I want you to look at this picture. What is going through your head at this moment right here? Do you remember this moment? What was it like to be Pat Schlapper surrounded by fatheads and screaming fans in your jersey and taking pictures? Look, there's kids being held up so you could hug the babies, everything there. What was that? What did that feel like?
It was kind of a culmination of a lot of things. You know, a lot of that is my friends and family, and that particular moment, I remember I was trying to find my buddy Mike Wilmoth, who this is my main partner in that part of the river and my best friend. I was trying to find him to hand him the trophy. just because, you know, we've put so much work in down there together that, you know, I haven't been able to talk to him for a year, but I know how much that meant to him, and he was stressing out about it as much as I was. So I was heading over there to hand that off to him, and I think there was some pictures that captured me handing it to him, and like he screamed louder than I never heard anybody scream. So it was really, really memorable, and just a culmination of so many years of hard work down there. That was kind of the crowning moment.
Going into that week, Pat, we did a fantasy fishing show. A lot of people did. There's been a lot of tournaments on the river. Did you feel like there was multiple ways to win this? Like, did you think you could get backdoored by a minnow or a drop shot or some Black River thing that like 5-6 years ago wasn't even a pattern on the river? Or did you know going into it that what you were doing was the way to win it?
In a 4-day event, you're not gonna most 99% of the time, you're not gonna beat the stuff that I know to do, fish and cut bank or messing around with minnows in the Black River, and, you know, fishing the same bridge with 10 boats every day, trying to catch release fish. And you're not going to compete for 4 days. And I knew that, you know, when I was in third kind of throughout the event, and just knowing all the conditions that were happening and how to adjust, water fluctuations, cold temps, north wind. I knew going out day 4, like, these guys out here messing around trying to catch 2.5, 3 pounders, unless I don't execute, like, these guys are probably going to be in trouble.
You had a fellow Wisconsin guy who put up a pretty damn good fight, Pat, in Caleb Coupal, 2-time Elite Series winner. He's won one on Gunnersville. He also won an Open on Smith Lake. You know, we were watching him fish. You weren't watching him fish because you were fishing, and he seemed dialed in. Like, what were your thoughts going into that final day? I know you had some lock issues. I know just from watching live, it was fascinating for you trying to make decisions in your head. Stay, go. Do I have enough? How much do I risk? How much? Like, that to me was a really big chess game, because I think you knew, like, it wasn't going to be given to you by Caleb on that final day. You had to go out and take it.
Yeah, Caleb and Schmidt were the two that worried me, but I talked to Caleb after day 3. I mean, I'm buddies with him, so I talked to him after pretty much every day. In the first 2 days, he's like, it was unreal. Like, I was not expecting to catch that much weight. And I know how he fishes down there. Like, I just know how he fishes. And then day 3, he's like, man, it was really hard. Took me a long time to get a limit. Size was down. I got lucky and caught a couple nice ones, but it's just getting tougher. And I knew with them conditions, that hard north wind, the cold front, like, you know, the way he was fishing, mostly cut bank, like, that's not ideal when that current is below. I mean, when you have a hard north wind coupled with the high water, dropping water, it didn't set up as well as it did for him the first 2 days. But for the areas I was in, it couldn't have set up any better throughout the event. I mean, I knew how to adjust. That was the key thing. I knew a lot of them guys, I'm like, yeah, they're going to go dick around throwing frogs all day, but I ain't going to get it done when it's blowing 35 mile an hour out of the north and it's 20 degrees colder in the morning. So I just knew what I needed to do, and I knew I just had to make good casts, execute when I got the bite, make sure my tackle was dialed, and I got every good bite I had that day. I got it in the boat.
Really, yeah, there was quite the difference. This footage courtesy of Bassmaster live here from the final day. They did a great job of covering the tournament on a tough river where it's tough to cover it. But like, you could tell, like, I mean, you were pretty jacked up. Like, the river is a cool place, because I'd like you to walk me through this. Like, when you catch one of the right ones, like, you know how much of a difference that makes to the outcome of the event. You had a couple of those moments where as soon as you said it, you knew this is the Derby right here.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I caught two really good ones at the end of the day that sealed that. I felt like when I got those two, I was like, them boys got to catch 16, 17 pounds now. And it was late in the day, so it didn't show any of that. Like, it showed a highlight of one of them, but it didn't tell the story of what happened. And you're exactly right, though. Like, when I got that first 4-pounder, I'm like, all right, I got 4 more to go. And then I got the second 360 or whatever. I'm like, all right, 3 more to go. And I left that key area with 3, 3.5 to 4, over 4-pounders, and then 2 not bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I need 2 more, and I think I know where I'm going to get them when I lock through. And that's the part of the story that hasn't been told. Like, it just, I don't know why it didn't get told, like how it happened, but I knew locking down, and it was crazy because I actually went to the lock to go down at 12:10 because there was a barge coming up, and I got in the lock, and the lock master's like, dude, you got till 1:30 or 2 o'clock. He's like, I'm going to get this one right through. So I wouldn't worry about it. So I turned around and went back up because they were just starting to bite. And I'm like, this is the move I got to make to win. There's just too many big ones in that area. And with these conditions, they're going to get to where I want them to be. But I didn't get another good one. And I ran back down, and he was already opening the lock for me. I drove right in, and I told my camera guy, I'm like, if I got an hour, I'm running all the way to the bottom of 8, and I need 1 more good one. And I did that. Got through, ran all the way to the bottom of 8, got to my little secret mat, pitched in there, quarter, which it never showed any of this, which threw out a 240, rigged up my worm, wheeled back up there, made 1 more pitch and caught one almost 4.5, swung it in the boat, threw out a 288 and ran back to weigh-in. They didn't tell that.
That's the 3-pound difference. Otherwise, you're like an ounce. You and Caleb are like an ounce apart.
Yeah. It would have been really close because I had like 16.5 pounds when I went there, and I ended up, my scale said close to 19. So I'm not sure what happened I was shocked when it only weighed 18.7 at weigh-in. Like, I was like dumbfounded. I'm like, it should be more than that because I was pretty precise weighing my fish, which it didn't end up mattering. But
yeah.
I think with that 3-pound, 3.25 I caught probably did it, but you never know. I mean, when you swing a 4.5 right after that, then you're like, okay, well now they got to catch 16.5. And I just knew in my heart, I'm like, God dang, man, I don't think they're going to make the adjustments that I made. I mean, Caleb, I think, obviously he has tons of knowledge on the river, but him and I fish completely different down there. He never leaves pool 8. He fishes cut bank. Like, he never even had a spook on his deck all week. He's like, I've never caught him on a spook on the river. I'm like, you fished for 20 years in the river, you don't even have a spook on the deck this time? No, I never catch him on it. I'm like that's how different we fish down there. So, and I just knew, I'm like, I just don't think with this, you never know, but I just felt in my heart like them guys aren't going to know the adjustment to make. And I was correct.
Best call you've ever made in your career? That last hour of the final day?
Yeah. I mean, that particular mat, I had caught key fish out of it every day, but the first day, I didn't fish it the first day because I had such a good bag. And like, I ran down there because I'm like, I'll get 1 bite and it will be bigger than what I got as long as I got it in the boat. I was not expecting to catch 2 really good ones. But yeah, that was a pretty clutch call. I mean, it was like, but like I said, it was a culmination of a year since they announced this schedule, really 3 years since we were there last. Like, amount of work I've put in and detailed notes of practice days and water levels and conditions and clarity, like all that went through my mind where it was like, I know if the water drop and there's going to be more there than what has been there. This is the last spot. Well, both spots, but the last spot especially, I'm like, the water's drop and it's cold. They're going to be on that key little spot. And they were. So definitely a clutch call.
Like, notes like this? Like go
Oh,
out
yeah.
and practice for a day and go home and pull the old pen out and literally write down what happened that day. And then as this tournament progresses, leaf through it. I mean, we're talking like old school homework.
100%. Like that was and it's partially my fault for I didn't do that in the past because of the guys I fished tournaments with down there. They know all that stuff in their mind. And we talk about it, when we're fishing the tournament, but like you think you're going to know all that, but you don't remember it. And so like, that's what kind of killed me the last time we were there. It's like, I thought I kind of knew, but I didn't. So I had all my notes of practice, water levels of every pool, every lock. And once the water started coming up, I looked and I'm like, the water level is going to be almost identical to when I was practicing the last 2 days I was here for pre-practice. And then it started dropping. I'm like, okay, the conditions are going to be identical. Like I know what to do. Like I know
You're
what
looking at this going, what were the conditions? Oh my gosh, it's going to match.
It's going to match. And then just knowing with what I know about seasonal movements and just current and a lot of, like I said, a lot of in-depth knowledge that I'm not going to get into because I don't want to get stabbed in my sleep by Wilmoth and Brigham and Mo Larson. Like I just knew so much, and the conditions could not have set up any better for what I know and how I fish down there. I fish different than certainly the majority of the Elite Series guys, but it was a perfect storm.
It's interesting. So I fished that St. Jude Bass Classic that's out of Wabasha. And so I talked to a lot of those southern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin guys when they're there, and they'll like point, and then they'll be like, oh, this guy's a pool X guy. This guy's a pool. And it's amazing to me how Corey's like the guy out of Wabasha there in Minnesota.
He is at certain times of the year, but the other guy
times of the year.
Matt Larson, which I don't know if you know that. I mean, he's won the Judes multiple times. I've got second. Like he's the man up. Like him and Corey, and there's a few other guys, but like Matt is the man. He's just the man.
Not argue. But it's crazy to me how the pools are all different. Like guys will be like, oh, I'm not even going to mess with this pool because this guy owns this pool and I'm fishing for second if I go down here. And if this pool's firing, we're all screwed because these two guys do this and this guy knows this stuff in this pool. And then you look at them and they all look like guys who can kick your ass on a river. Like the boats aren't sparkly, the shirts aren't tucked in. Like they look like guys who enjoy hand-to-hand combat in a backwater of the river where they maybe see like a moose and that's the only thing they see all day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many guys, Wyatt Stout. I mean, there's he's the pool guy. I know exactly what you're saying. Like if it's happening in 5A or 6, like Wyatt Stout is, you're not going to beat him many days down there. And same with, Harmon and Corey. And I 100% agree with you, but it's the same way down on pool 7, 8, and 9. Like that's the same. I could tell you the top guy for 7, the top guy for 8, the top guy for 9. So they're river guys, man. They're a different breed.
I agree. A couple more questions and I'll let you go. I greatly appreciate you jumping on. I know you got a busy schedule here. So I want to read your first 5 starts of the season: 42nd, 98th, 36th, 68th, and 80th. Then you go to Lake Fork and you go 32nd, 1st, 36th, 23rd, and 1st, and do $250,000 in the second half of the season. You went from not even sniffing the Classic to solidly in the Classic, double qualifying for the Classic, and having 2 blue trophies on your mantle in the span of 4 months, Pat. What happened?
Well, I mean, a big part of it was just a mind change. Like I just was like, I'm done worrying about the Classic. I'm fishing the way I fish back home, which is to win every tournament. And I just got more comfortable and I just felt like I didn't worry about a lot of the things I was worrying about in the early part of the year. Like, yeah, making the classic is great. It's fun. I mean, I suck at fishing them, but it's still fun to be there. But like, I would much rather winning a tournament in a season is much more important than making the classic, because I've made now I've made 5 classics, and I don't think it's done a whole lot for me other than saying I was in the classic and, making a little extra money. But, winning a tournament, winning one tournament definitely helped, but not as much as I thought. So I think winning 2, will really help. I'm hoping anyways. Once again, I don't know. This is uncharted territory for me, but just changing my mindset to not worrying about things I can't control and concentrating on just fishing, practicing efficiently, and making sure my tackle's dialed and executing when I get the bites, and just trying to develop a plan to win tournaments.
Old School Bait played in this, and it was that it looks to me like it was a jerk shad on a straight offset tied directly to braid. Am I in the ballpark on that, Pat?
So Big Bite did a video, and I had it. It was Texas rigged with a 5/0 round, heavy gauge round bend, but it looked like it was on a straight shank. And oh my God, was I getting tore apart by people? And I mean, just people that, don't have functional brains, don't understand rigging, I just got blasted in that post. But he's lying. You can't throw that through that. He'd be pulling in grass every cast, which I kind of was anyways, even with a Texas rig, because it was so thick. But it was Texas rigged. I got it right here. It just was confusing the way I had it. When it showed it was that. But that's not. I had it Texas rigged. Tex pose like that. So I just I like a heavy gauge round bend. I just think I hook them better than an EWG. I just hate EWG hooks. I only use them if I absolutely have to. So it's a little bit tougher to get it through the grass with the offset round bend, but when I hook them, I usually got them. And yeah, I started with 30-pound braid, straight braid on a 7-foot medium heavy, and then I had a bit of a mishap on day 1, and I had to go to a different rod, which had 50-pound straight Sunline SX1, and then a 7.3 heavy. So
that's it right there.
And yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was it. In the first day, I was throwing a different jerk shad for part of the day, and that was kind of just because I had this on the deck, but I wasn't planning on catching them on this. I was planning on catching them on something else, but I couldn't throw it in there because there was so much floating grass. So the only jerk shad I had that was like right there was a different one than this. And I even said on camera, I'm like, I got to dig the Big Bite ones out because this one's the best for what I was doing. But they were biting so fast. I'm like, I'm not going in the back and digging them out. So I just used the other one. And then the second day, all of them I caught was on there. This was the only one I threw the rest of the tournament. And partially, this is the old original jerk minnow. It's a little bit bigger, casts better. It just has a little different action. It glides a little. What's that? Yeah, a little denser.
Denser plastic. I can't describe it, but it feels a little bit chunkier than, say, a Zoom Fluke.
100%. Head shape's a little different. And then this particular color, which is called glow silver, it actually glows in the dark, which I obviously don't care about that. I'm not fishing after dark, but it just is a little bit more translucent. It looks like a freaking shad. It's the most shaddy looking color that I've seen. And yeah, I'm with Big Bite, whatever, whatever. But I throw a lot of different flukes and different, I buy tackle to try in colors and all that. And this is the best shad color in a soft jerkbait, whatever brand you're looking at. I'm telling you right now, there's something about it, that glow silver, that I catch more fish on it. I just do. Sure. So that's why I was
covered this. I may have just missed it, but is that a W or an M on your frog?
that we're going to skip over that part. It's just the way I mark my frogs for different things. I've had several people reach out to me about that, but yeah, that's some insider trading stuff there. So
I'll tell you what, there's been some frog wins this year, Pat, and the frog guys outside of Rojas, who basically has made a fortune off of his frog, so he has to talk about it. You frog guys are more secretive than the damn swim bait guys. I tried to get some frog info out of Laker Howell the other day, and it was like pulling teeth.
Yeah, I put too much work, and honestly, like, I don't get that stuff for free. Like I probably spent close to $3,000 on frogs this year. Different, and I do it every couple years. I'll like, all right, there's all these new frogs. I got to try them out and blah, 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 blah. I mean, if you've seen what I had out in that, and then I got onto one in practice that I really liked. And so I think I spent about $1,000 just on that style frog because I didn't have many. So I go through and, I test them all. And then I always settle on, I'm done doing that. There's not a better one out there than a Spro Bronzite. I don't care what Bobby Barrick or all these other people that make these frogs and get paid to say they're better. I'm telling you, for fishing on the Mississippi River, there is not a better frog than a Spro Bronzite 65. When you go down there, and like I said, I've never got a free Spro Bronzite frog in my life, and I still won't get a free Spro Bronzite frog. And I know I'm making Rojas even more money. There is not a better frog for fishing the Mississippi River. So save your money. You could probably buy some off of me because I've got totes and totes of them out there. But save your time, save your money, buy a Bronzite 65.
Oh, I don't do clips of the show, but if I did little 30-second clips, that would be one. I think y'all need to go to Spro and spam them all with emails that Pat needs to get on the team.
I don't get Pat on the
Spro team here.
I don't really want to do that though, because because
you want to throw whatever you want to throw when it's the best. I get it. This is the exact. I'm looking at this as a frog because I'm not a frog guy. So I see a frog, right? And I'm like, oh, what's the W? That's like asking an East Tennessee balsa aficionado the secrets of what makes X bait that this guy carves versus this guy, and they've got all the numbers and stuff on the bottom of them, and they're just like, that one's better, and we'll leave it at that.
I mean, is it a W or is it a 3? I mean, you don't know. So that's, it's only I know.
Oh, I thought it was an M.
It could be an M too. So you just don't know. But I'm trying to get away from being with a brand just because I'm just being completely transparent here. I mean, I'm probably going to shoot myself in the foot, but like most of these, I would rather be honest with everybody, and I don't get paid much at all from tackle companies, which is fine. I get it. I'm just a peon, but like I would rather I try to be as transparent as possible. And there's times where you can't be when you're tied to companies. You know that. I mean, it's just hard to and you get pigeonholed and people say he's lying. I don't want to do that. So, I mean, when I can tell people when I can tell people what I'm using without getting scolded by somebody, I'm going to do it, and that's why I said, like, I was throwing a different jerk shad for part of that first day. Like, you can see it, I'm sure a lot of people playing Tendo in their mom's basement zoomed in on it and saw it wasn't a big bite jerk shad. And I don't want to get blasted for that because I mean, I got blasted for having too short of tag ends on my, I don't know if you saw that or not, but somebody's just like, oh, you can't cut your tag end that short with braid because your knot's going to slip. It's like, oh, all right. Sorry. Sorry. So I want to be just as real as I can be. And it's hard to do that sometimes in this industry.
You should try doing a show every day.
Yeah, I can only
Kind of
imagine.
opinion on that.
I can't be on live for
Dude,
a day without.
I kind of like that though. So like Welcher just came back to YouTube and he was like, quite frankly, I didn't film some of the tournaments because I found some stuff out that I was catching them on, and I'm catching them in the tournaments on it. And I wanted to explore it. And I'm a professional angler first, and it's a secret of the trade. Didn't want to share it with you guys. Don't want to share it with you guys. I think it gives me an edge. Like there, I think that's all. I mean, that has been going on since, cavemen were freaking trying to like catch trout out of streams. I guarantee you there was one guy who knew how to spear them better than the others, and he didn't want Zorg to know the secret of his spear because he was spearing more trout than him.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just evolved into people think they have to tell everybody everything that they figure out, or they figure out by watching somebody else, and then they claim it as their own idea because they need to get their clicks and their likes and all that crap. Like that, it's not, I mean, yeah, it's good for the companies, but it's not necessarily the best for, like what Welcher said. Like why would he give away a bunch of free information about something he's got dialed in when he could maybe win another tournament, so he can make a video and get 10,000 views on YouTube and make $5 or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a YouTuber, so I don't know what you make, but like, I mean, I don't get that side of it. Like, man, I work way too hard to come up with things, and whether it's just stuff on the water or baits or rigging or whatever, like to just give it away for whatever to make yourself feel good. I don't know. I don't understand that side of it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to lie about it, but if somebody asks me what's that mean on the frog, I'll just say, I'm not telling you. I'm not going to tell you what it means.
My job to ask you, your job to answer. You answer how you want. I got one more question for you. And doing a little research for the show, I came across this, and I would just like to know if this is true. Are you really a whiz at Name That Tune? That's your About Me section on Bassmaster. It says Pat is a whiz at Name That Tune.
Yeah. Did you watch the stray casts I did after the last time I won?
I did.
They hit me pretty hard. And I only missed one, and it was kind of an obscure Rolling Stones song, but I'm pretty solid. Now, there's some genres where I'm not going to be as strong as I used to be just because of my listening styles have changed. But you throw in 80s rock, 70s, late 60s up to today, I'm pretty strong. I'm not going to say I'm the best, but I'm fairly strong.
That's a Northern thing. Like I remember probably 6, 7. It was the first time the Elite Series was going to up north, and the Cajun baby and I spent a week together because he was just screwing around, and he's like, "Oh, you want to jump into a boat and catch some smallmouth?" Anyway, we ended up largemouth fishing the whole time. I should have known that what I was getting into, but we went to a Chili's it was like a Friday night, and we went to go get some fajitas at Chili's, and we walked into a Name That Tune contest in Chili's, and the place was raucous.
Yeah.
I mean, like it was like, it's what the whole town did. They went and they like would play a song, and they'd be like shouting out the name of these obscure songs. And there was like a KVD of song naming in the Chili's. Their beers were flowing. I mean, it was like a citywide event at Chili's of just Northerners naming obscure songs.
Yeah, that's just like me and my brothers. And like I used to cook at a restaurant, and in the kitchen, we would listen to music, and that was the deal. We played Name That Tune, and that's how you learn. It's like fishing. You got to immerse yourself in the culture and in the game to learn it. So I've got a really weird memory. Like I can remember things that most people wouldn't even calculate as something you should remember, but I'm pretty good at it. Now, like I said, you could probably stump me. I know you could stump me on some stuff, but like I'm pretty strong in certain categories.
Pretty strong at winning tournaments. 2 out of the last 5 to close the season out. Pat Schlapper, enjoy the trophies, enjoy the financial gain, and enjoy. I know how much it meant for for you to share it. Like you said, you're looking for your partner. You had your family there to share it with those around you this week. Really cool win. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on again.
See you, Pat.
See you later.
There you go. I like it. That is as old school as it gets right there. We're going to take a break and then return with someone who is not as old school as it gets, although he's been around for a while, and that is 2025 Rookie of the Year, Tucker Smith, BTL on a Wednesday. We'll be back right after this.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. You know, I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish, and I also fish the Bassmasters Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's two best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit probassadventures.com or email probassadventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk Live.
When I'm in a tournament, conditions are constantly changing and every second matters. With the Deep Dive app, I can instantly pull up all the current lake conditions all in one spot. So no more looking at weird government websites. In just one quick glance, I have water clarity, water level, wave forecast. It's all right there in the Deep Dive app. Download the Deep Dive app and get all the tools you need to put together an awesome tournament.
Welcome back, BTL on a Wednesday. Tucker Smith, do you ever look at weird government websites?
What's up?
I just saying, the newest Deep Dive app says no more looking at weird government websites. I don't know if you're one of those weird government website guys.
What's a weird government website? Google Earth?
So I think there's some that I don't know if I should say this, that take daily satellite imagery, but they're very hard to get to and navigate and find. And there are some anglers that are not elated with the Deep Dive app because it takes all of that imagery that you have to go through all the hoops to find and condenses it down into the tip of your finger. So then their edge when it comes to certain things that they're looking for from aerial photos is no longer the edge that it was. You see where I'm going with that, Tucker?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Are you a Pat Schlapper type of guy? Do you have any secrets under your hat that you're just not willing to reveal, or are you pretty much an open book? You're a different generation.
I'm pretty secretive.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, when it comes to certain things, I'm not, like with certain stuff like finding fish and patterns and stuff like that. But certain, like, there's like some certain techniques that I'm like a little bit more cautious about talking, about, but just because I've spent a lot of time with them and stuff, I mean, I'll talk about techniques, but getting into like specific details.
It just leaves some key. Do you feel like the newer generation who are trying to Instagram and TikTok and YouTube their way to the top to stay relevant give up too much of the juice too quickly?
I think so. But I think it's also a good thing to like, for people to learn. I think it's a great thing for people to get into the sport. I think it's a good thing for people to learn, but I think putting your time in with figuring out baits and figuring out techniques and figuring out how to make a fish bite is very important as well. I think, I don't know, it takes us a lot of time to dial in these techniques and figure out these bodies of water. And it's pretty wild how, a lot of stuff is just out there now. So you can figure it out in like 3 seconds.
You don't have to say who it is, but is there like one guy who's like really good right now that's like kind of around your age where you're like, dude, like, don't say that. Like, just be quiet about that. Like, let us have it for a little bit longer. Like, because there's kind of a group of you guys that are in your 20s that are incredibly talented anglers. But do you guys get together and say like, hey, this one stays under our hat until it's on live?
I mean, I guess sometimes, yeah. Sometimes everybody's got their fishing secrets, man.
Who talks too much? Who's the guy who talks too much?
I'm not gonna say that.
Okay, that's fine.
But you know how it is. Like you spend a lot of time finding like baits that work really well, and it's like everybody's got their fishing secrets. You're not gonna, if you fish club tournaments on the weekend, you're not gonna go over there and tell everybody your favorite, stretch of boat docks or whatever. It's just everybody's got their own fishing secrets. So it's like kind of like that.
You've won a lot in your young career. You've got a lot of titles, a lot of trophies. Thoughts on getting the latest hardware? I mean, you had 127 pounds and won an actual blue trophy earlier this year. Thoughts on getting your hands on the Bassmaster Rookie of the Year trophy this past week in Wisconsin?
Yeah, man, it was unbelievable. Dream come true. I knew going into my rookie season, that was a goal that I had going into it, a really big goal. And I knew it was going to be tough against some of the best fishermen in the world. And yeah, it's definitely an awesome time getting to fish the elites. And it was really, I didn't know what to think going into it. I was a little nervous. It's just intimidating when you walk by and see Brandon Palaniuk sitting right beside you, ready to blast off. And now I feel like I've gotten a little bit more used to it. But man, I put in a lot of time this year, fishing really hard, traveling around. I mean, you're basically a full-time truck driver, part-time fisherman when you're a professional bass fisherman. So it's hard, a lot of time on the road, a lot of time away from home. And, but yeah, I've had so much fun this year traveling around with my buddies. We call them the Surge Squad. It's me, Emil Wagner, Andrew Loberg, and Paul Marks, and it's a great group of guys. They're really good fishermen, and man, we just have a lot of fun with it. We get to travel around the country and all stay together, and we've had a great time. But yeah, it's a true honor to win Rookie of the Year. It's something that I've tried to do this year, and I had a rough start in the season, or I had a rough couple tournaments, Sabine and 10 Killer, and then I was able to bounce back in the last two events of the year and make it happen.
I watched a lot of people watched that final day because there was a lot of intrigue on it. I mean, you had one of the world's best scopers in Koya with an outside chance to win it. You had Caleb and Pat and Jay with a deep kind of history of that river. And I kind of got stuck watching you. I would love for you to talk through that Smalley spot that you had with that wind that was whipping. I thought you made some badass adjustments to get those fish to eat the jig. And I didn't really follow the first 3 days of that. Was that a final day adjustment that you made in order to put that 13, 14 pound bag of smallmouth in, basically 5 casts?
Definitely. Yeah. So basically I found that place during practice, but I only spent half a day on that pool. I only spent half a day on pool 7, I only spent half a day on pool 9, and I spent the rest of my practice on pool 8 because I was like, if I can find them on pool 8, I won't have to lock. It'll be a lot safer, and it'll be, a lot safer bet to make the classic and try to win Rookie of the Year to stay in 8. So I ended up spending half a day of practice in there. I caught a few fish in 7, and I found that one place. And there was a few fish swimming around, but I really didn't know how good it was going to be. I knew there was a good bit of fish in that area, but it was about day 2. I caught them all the first day out of pool 8, the 14 something pounds, and the second day I went back to those same places in pool 8, and it just wasn't happening. I caught like one good one, and I was like, I don't really know. I looked at my marshal and I was like, hey, like I'm going to make a gut decision right here. I said, this is really either going to be really stupid or this is going to be really awesome. I was like, we're running to pool 7, and it was like 12:30 in the middle of the day, and there's barges coming through, and all that stuff. So I run to the lock, I get up there, I run to that place that I found. It's basically eelgrass with a sand depression and more eelgrass on the other side, and there's current ripping through there. So they're kind of sitting in that sandy depression right behind that eelgrass line. And I ran up there. I had 3 fish in the box. I caught number 4, and I caught number 5, and I was like, you know, thank God I caught 5 fish. I was like 5 fish the second day. Rookie of the Year race was ending the second day, so I knew I needed at least 5 fish, and ended up seeing a bunch of fish. I kind of scanned that area, looked around a little bit, and there was a lot more fish than I expected. There was actually, I'd caught a couple off the edge of this sand drop, and in the tournament when I came there and caught those 2, I caught a couple off the sand drop, and I ended up trolling forward a little bit, and it was like, I was like, ain't no way those are bass all down that sand drop, you know, that goes further out to the current break. I pick up my top water, and it's 5 casts in a row, man. 3-pounder, 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 3-pounder. And I'm like, and I pull the troll motor up and leave. I'm like, I go back to pull 8. Have a good day, 15 something pounds. I'm like, all right, I'm starting there day 3. I pull up there day 3, get the top water out. It's like, goosh, 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 goosh. And catch like 16 something off of it day 2. And end up going largemouth fishing right after I catch those, and catch a 4-pound largemouth on a frog, which was really cool. Lost another big one on a frog. And then the final day, man, it was getting tough to get those fish to bite. I ended up picking this thing up right here. It's a Picasso old school dock rocket jig. And this thing's pretty cool. It's got a different hook in it. It's got more of like an EWG style hook in it. But the biggest thing about hooks, in my opinion, is the gap. And you can see that thing's got a big gap from the line tie to the tip of the hook. It's got a big gap right there. And that's a big thing that I look at in a lot of jigs, jig heads, everything like that, is having a good gap where those fish can get hooked. But what I was doing, I was throwing a 1/2 ounce jig. This fish got accustomed to the top water, and I was like, tried to throw some swim baits and stuff like that, mid-column, chatter baits, stuff like that. And they weren't really biting, you know, middle of the water column stuff. So I ended up picking up that jig, and it was like, I tossed it in there, and it was like instantly, and so I started catching them on that jig. And one thing I figured out with that jig bite is once I started catching a couple on that jig, I would actually have to start swimming it over those fish and then letting it fall to the bottom and kind of get them active on it, kind of get them chasing it a little bit. And then once you would let it fall and hit the bottom, they'd go down there and swim to it and actually eat it. But it was fun, man, throwing 20-pound test on that thing, boat flipping them in the boat. I was just talking about Aaron Martins. We were doing a segment on Aaron Martins and me getting to know him very well. And I actually was talking about this reel right here that he gave me, this Shimano Metanium. And this is my jig reel that I usually throw every tournament. And it's a 8-to-1 gear ratio with 20-pound P-line on it. And Shimano Corrado 7.5 heavy rod. And I picked that thing up right after I got done talking on that segment about Aaron, and casted it out there and caught like my biggest smallmouth of all week. I caught a 4.2 on that thing like right after I got done talking about it. It gave me chill bumps. It was crazy. Then filled out my limit with that jig. But yeah, man, it was a great time, and I love that place. The crazy thing is too is I fished an open there last year, and I had a good finish there. I think I finished in the top 15, top 20. But when I sold my boat, I forgot to get all my waypoints off of my last boat. So this year I don't have any waypoints of any lakes at all. And the tournament director for Bassmaster wouldn't let me get my my waypoints back from my old boat. So I don't have any waypoints at all. So I think it's helped me in the last couple of events, is just going out there, breaking apart the water like it's a brand new body of water. And yeah, it's been fun.
That, like I said, I don't do 30-second clips on the show, but I would also clip that 30-second clip too. because that's pretty impressive. What? I mean, Angler of the Year and Classic has to be next for you. Like I mean, let's just be honest here. Like, you're a very humble kid. You're an adult, but you're a kid too. You're quiet, but you've won everything you can win. Like, how is the drive for, that Angler of the Year title? Are you dialed in on Tennessee coming up like in March? From the outside looking in, Tucker, and I know this probably is not something that, I don't know what you say to this, but like, it seems inevitable that like those titles will come as your career progresses. Do you feel the same way if you just keep your head down and keep progressing?
Man, I don't really ever think about it. I try not to, I definitely don't look in the past, and I try not to look in the future too much. I try to stay in the present most of the time, and I just enjoy fishing so much. I really don't care where I'm at and where I'm doing it. I'm just trying to catch as many and as big a fish as I can. And so I kind of have that mindset going into every tournament. I just try to fish as hard as I can, see where I can end up at the end of the tournament. But I set myself some goals. Like, I set Rookie of the Year as a goal this year. I set getting back into the top 10 in AOY this year. After my last couple bad tournaments, I told my camera guy, I said, if I make 2 top 10s, I'll finish top 10 in AOY, I think. And that was a big goal of mine, is finishing top 10 in AOY, and ended up getting a top 10 at St. Clair, and that jumped me up from 24th to 14th, and then ended up getting a top 10 here at La Crosse, and that jumped me up to 9th place in AOY. So that was a big goal of mine. I'll set little goals like that, and I think it helps drive me. But I just focus on the present time and trying to do as good as I can at that moment.
Real quick, I just am curious. Can we run through your year on like primary baits? I just name the event and you just give me like, I'm not looking to like gain anything. I just want to see like how, like, was it all one thing? Like, were you just shaking a minnow for 9 events and got lucky and caught a couple on a jig and a spook at the end? Or how did this go down? So like, St. John's River, 25th place.
St. John's, I was throwing a jerk bait a lot. I threw a minnow a little bit. And then also caught some on a Carolina rig too. But I was fishing showboaters and stuff like that.
Really? The C rig, 63rd place, Okeechobee.
Okeechobee, trying to think. Jerk bait and minnow.
All right. Boy, it's amazing to me how Florida has flipped in 5 years as to like, I mean, you still have like the old school stuff, but there's like, it's flipped in the last 5 years.
And I always fish in those canals and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Pasquotank River, 36th.
I caught all those on a swim jig. Every single one that I weighed in, I caught them on I got it right here, Picasso swim jig.
That's fun.
That's what I caught every single
one. Is that a
one.
wire keeper on it?
Yeah, it is. This one is.
All right. Hartwell, 2nd place.
Hartwell, shaky head, fluke, and trying to think what else. I think mostly just shaky head and fluke. I started off in the morning herring spawn fluke, and then spawning fish and roamers with shaky head.
Lake Fork was the mystery minnow.
Big minnow.
Yeah. Sabine River, 85th. But still, points.
And I caught a big one on a football jig too.
Okay, yeah, I do remember you talking about that, because that was where you were like finding sneaky hard spots when you came on. You talked about that. You just did a ton of idling there.
Yep.
Sabine River.
I caught him on a Texas rig and a swim jig.
So we've got a swim jig, a Texas rig, and a Carolina rig in the mix so far, and a jig. 10 killer.
10 killer. I'm trying to remember what all I threw. Drop shot, minnow. I think that was about it. Or I threw a dice too in that one.
A 10 killer, interesting. St. Clair.
Drop shot, minnow.
Yep. And then lacrosse.
Spook, jig, jerkbait.
I've had conversations with a number of people over the last couple weeks around the forward-facing sonar.
And a frog.
And a frog, yeah. Around the forward-facing sonar debate. And I think you are the perfect example. I want you to tell me whether I'm nuts, whether I'm kind of right, or whether I'm totally right. But when in the initial stance of it, you could excel just going out, finding fish, and casting to it. As it has evolved now, and for the next foreseeable futures, the most consistent and successful anglers will figure out how to incorporate forward-facing sonar into traditional, proven fishing methods. And the only way to be consistent is to be fundamentally sound and complement that with the forward facing.
I think so. I think that's what I've tried to do a lot this year. And I think that's what's helped me too, is I grew up without live scope and grew up here in Alabama on the Coosa River. So I was able to grow up and, learn the fundamentals of fishing, topwater fishing, current break fishing, tail race fishing, frog fishing, swim jig, flipping, all that stuff, jerkbait fishing. That's what I grew up doing. And I think that's what's helped me is I'm kind of in that age gap where we didn't have it in high school growing up, and we learned those fundamentals. But now I've taken the live scope and applied that with the traditional fundamentals that I've already learned. And I think the mixture of those two I think that's what's key right now.
You are Randy Blockett's worst nightmare. You are everything that counters the propaganda that he spews.
That's good.
You fishing the EQs, Tucker?
I'm going to fish 2 of them. I'm going to fish Wheeler and Champlain.
Stay out of those EQ guys' ways. They're trying to make the Elite Series.
Yeah, definitely.
You try to get John Cruz in. Is Cruz giving you a call?
John
called you and said, "Hey, Tucker, win one of those suckers. Get me in the damn classic, son."
I'm excited to fish this. I think it'll be fun. But yeah, I'm definitely going to stay out of people's way. I know that's really stressful when I fish.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time on that, but not really.
I know, but it is stressful. I feel like it's like a whole different level of stress being so close.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's why I totally just avoided the stress and finished 100th. I had no stress. How often do you stay on the water? Like, how often are you on the water now? Between now and the start of next season, will you launch your boat and just fish and learn?
A lot. I would say, well, right now I just got back home, so I'm just like kind of resting up because I've been gone for like on a 3-week bender. But, but yeah, I think probably like 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah. No replacement for time on the water.
No, I mean, especially living on Gunnersville, it's just places like that, like where you have good fisheries around you. It's nice to go out there and learn, because you can learn a lot of stuff about big bodies of water like that. They set up, you can do so many different things.
How does that lake stay good? Like, I don't care how much grass there is. Like, that lake gets absolutely canned every single day of the week and every single aspect, and it just keeps pumping out healthy fish.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like, honestly, the biggest thing is, like, I mean, it's the grass. The biggest thing is the grass, because years ago there wasn't as much eelgrass, and now the eelgrass has taken over. And the eelgrass, number one, it cleans up the water and it filters the water, and that's good for the plankton. That's good for the baby bass. It's good for fish that go offshore and feed. Fish that group up offshore like cleaner water. They don't group up as good when the water's stained. And with that grass being out there, they're able to group up a lot more frequently. They're able to feed up more. They're able to get bigger, faster, because they're always feeding, because the water's cleaner. They can see. Current's a big thing. They don't have to move a ton to eat. They can sit in one area and constantly have food getting pushed to them. The giant flats of grass, a bass can get in that grass flat and never see a bait during the day. I mean, they can get down in that eelgrass that's in 12 foot and never see a bait. And there's so many places like that where there's grass everywhere, and you can't even put your bait in front of, a certain fish if it's in that grass like that. But the amount of little tiny bass that you see, if you go up shallow, it's like an aquarium. Like you go in a pocket and there's like baby bass, like 4-pounders, like tiny little ones just swimming around like everywhere, because there's bait, there's healthy grass. I think the biggest thing too is we have really good spawns. Those fish can spawn in those holes of the eelgrass and never be seen, because they can be out in 10, 12 foot because the water's clean, it's clear, so they can spawn deeper. The baby fry just swim right into the eelgrass and never get eaten by other predator fish. So I think the mixture of grass, clean water, current, and a good food source, like the abundance of shad, brim, frogs, just there's so much life there. I think that's just a recipe for an amazing lake.
We have breaking news, and I was going to let you go. You got 5 minutes to talk about this breaking news.
Okay.
Have you ever won anything on Table Rock Lake that was sponsored by Bass Pro Shops?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You did, didn't you? How much did you win in that tournament?
We won $1 million and 2 trucks and 2 boats.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Email just came through that MLF announced that the Red Crest 2026 Table Rock Lake in April 17th through 19th. You won it? Did you win in the fall? Like late fall or early?
November.
Yeah,
November.
Late fall. So it'll be a totally different lake by the time April 17th through 19th rolls around.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
Yep. Big time Bass Pro Shops, Red Crest 2026. The Bass Pro Tour Championship will take place on Table Rock near Springfield.
That's awesome.
300,000 outdoor sports expo, open air tent festival.
That's like Johnny Morris's backyard, I'm
yeah.
sure he's pumped up to have it there.
Yep. And they've already got the field pretty much set on that. I mean, there's some gamers in there. Dude, that's a pretty strong field for that. Like, I know you're a bass guy, you fish, whatever. We're fishermen. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at this field that already is in there. And, like, Burge, he's an Oklahoma guy who's close. Ayler, Elam, Evers, Drew Gill, Jake Lawrence, Lucas, Neal.
They're stout.
Obviously, Wheeler, all that. But, I mean, there's some guys who have spent some time. Like James Elam, there's some guys, and Edwin, there's some guys who spent some time in the spring on Table Rock.
Yeah,
and especially if you're a Bass Pro Shops guy, like that's a match made in heaven. You're a Bass Pro guy on the Bass Pro Tour, winning Red Crest at the home of Bass Pro Shops.
You'll have
XPS for life.
Yeah. If you're an XPS for life, you went out
you'll never have to buy another piece of XPS plastic or hard bait. Have spoons coming out of your ears if you get that dub.
Yeah, that's a lake of a Bass Pro guy.
Yeah, you're a Bass Pro guy, right?
I am.
Yeah. Yep. Do you just get do you get to go like stay at like Big Cedar and just do all sorts of cool stuff every now and then, and where it's just like it's good to be a Bass Pro guy?
We're actually gonna go. I think we're gonna go to a race, a NASCAR race, pretty soon, like a night race, which is gonna be cool.
Nice. All right, I'll let you go. You're not fishing today?
I'm not today. I'm just resting. And
are you at home or are you in like a public park or something?
No, I'm at my house or my parents' house.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right, dude. I appreciate it. Congratulations on another classic, another great season. You get one shot at the Rookie of the Year title. You made the most of it, and then what's the name of the squad?
Surge.
Everyone kicked ass in the Surge squad this year too.
Surge
Isn't
squad.
Loberg like 10 years older than everyone else in that group too?
He is, but he's like the father of the household. He's Father Surge.
He's freaking good.
He is. He's amazing for sure.
We need to go back. We had him on BTL like when he was just a couple FLW events in, and Jeffries and I like pegged him like as this is going to be one of the guys like to watch coming up, just like his business sense, how mature he was, the way he looked at tournament fishing, how he had his goals set up. I want to say that was 8 years ago, 7-8 years ago. We had him on, and like, boom, here he is. Like unfortunately last year in the Opens, I fished against him in like half of the tournaments and like visually watched him kick my ass.
He's good. And especially when it comes to that like grass game.
Yeah.
He's electric with it.
Like I watched him drill about 50 guys in Florida. He was about 30 yards from me, and I was just stuck on 12 pounds. And he was just, it was a coal fest over in the Loberg vessel.
Just weighing him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. To the point where I was like, hey, I'm not too low to ask, what the hell are you throwing? And then he literally told me what he was throwing and then kicked my butt on it after I had changed to it.
Well, he'll be talking. He'll be like, "Yeah, man, you got that milfoil pair with that eelgrass mixed with that hydrilla, and this current's coming on this way." We're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's big ones right there." And I'm like, "We're like, dude, what?"
Yeah. And there's something about those West Coast guys, like they understand something a little bit different, and then you move them to Alabama, and it's like a lethal combination.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is.
So. No one moves from Alabama to California. Weird how that works out. All right, Tucker, have a good day. I greatly appreciate you hanging tight.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, see ya. That is Tucker Smith, obviously one of the best talented young anglers in the country, and did it with a minnow and a drop shot and some live scope, but also a jig. Just saying it again for those who didn't listen. A jig, a Carolina rig, a Texas rig, a swim jig, a spook, and did it with no waypoints in his unit at the beginning of the year. There you go. Tomorrow, awesome show. I'm looking forward to chatting with Frank. Frank has some new items on his vessel. He is currently installing them right now. It's not like more scopes or anything like that. It's just some updating stuff. He's excited. He's very excited because he said that he's heading out to the rig now, and there's 3 cheers beer glass emojis. So typically when there's multiple emojis in a Frank Scalish text, that means he's rather excited. And we will review all in depth all of the 5 colors for the 25th anniversary of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame that will be available September 1st on lurenet.com. Pat, Schlapper, Tucker, Smith, Bruce Stanton, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Actually went pretty flawlessly for all those guys to get on BTL, so can't thank those guys enough. Where's my music? There it is. Same time, same place tomorrow. We'll talk to everyone then. See ya.